Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a seriously fascinating reality. The idea that every single generation inhabits a slightly different, constantly evolving version of America. The country is literally changing right before our eyes, but not always in those loud, obvious ways that make the evening news.
Now, when we think about how much things have changed, the massive shifts usually jump to mind first, right? We think about advancements in cars, how our jobs have completely transformed, or just the absolute magic of instant internet communication. But today, we're going to look a little closer. We're exploring 10 quiet shifts. We're talking about the fading hum of the local mom-and-pop store, the clinking plates at the neighborhood diner, and the physical spaces that used to anchor our everyday lives. And you know, these aren't just disappearing because people suddenly stopped caring. They're fading because of a really complex mix of changing tech, shifting economics, and our own daily habits.
Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, the fading American landscape and the shifting spaces of our neighborhoods.
So for a huge chunk of our history, the classic American Main Street was the undisputed center of gravity. It was the centralized hub where almost everything a family could possibly need was just a short, easy walk away. But as our map kind of stretched outward into these massive suburban sprawls, well, shopping malls, giant parking lots, and the ultimate convenience of online shopping totally took over. The actual physical footprint of our daily lives stretched way out, and it pulled us right away from that historic core.
Downtowns were once the incredibly vibrant social centers of a community. They were packed with these highly walkable businesses. But here's the thing, the real value wasn't just that the grocery store, the bank, and the barber were right next to each other. It was the bump-in factor. Because these services were all clustered together, it basically forced spontaneous community interaction. You didn't just run errands, you bumped into your neighbors. And while sure, a lot of communities today are working really hard to restore their historic main streets with fantastic new restaurants, that old all-in-one version, where it was the sole provider of both your daily needs and your social life, is getting incredibly rare.
And this shift, it moved right into our own front yards. Think about the traditional front porch. It used to be this outward-facing social beacon. You didn't need to text someone to set up an appointment. You just sat outside, people walked past, you chatted, and kids played nearby without a screen in sight. Today, the sheer comfort of air conditioning and massive flat-screen TVs have pulled us all inward, fundamentally changing the very architecture of our social lives. The porch is physically still there, but the lifestyle around it has drastically shifted.
Moving right along to Section 2, losing our community spaces and the disappearance of local meeting places. As economics shift and younger generations really start to prioritize efficiency above all else, our local streets are losing their anchors. We aren't just losing places to go buy stuff, we're losing the neon glow of the family-owned theater marquee where generations of people went for their first dates. We're losing the counter at the local mom-and-pop store where the owner actually knew your regular order before you even walked through the door. When these places vanish, we are literally losing the physical parts of a community's unique identity.
A diner could feel like an extension of the community. You know, in sociology, there's this brilliant concept called the third place. Basically, it's a vital physical space outside of your home and your workplace where communities actively bond. So, when giant chains and app-based food delivery wipe out a simple, independent diner serving up eggs, burgers, and pie, communities lose their third place. They lose those unofficial meeting tables where the morning shift ate breakfast and old friends caught up over coffee. Convenience is great, absolutely, but it often ends up replacing the deeply familiar with the merely efficient.
That brings us to Section 3, the end of analog. Tangible objects transitioning to digital experiences.
And this brilliantly illustrates the shift. Think back to that classic Friday night ritual at the video rental store. You actually had to physically walk the aisles, judge a movie purely by its cover, and make these spontaneous, shared decisions with the people standing right next to you. Today, well, endless streaming algorithms have totally replaced that Friday night serendipity with isolated convenience. Don't get me wrong, instant home entertainment is undeniably awesome, but that sheer digital efficiency effectively killed the video store and the whole spontaneous social experience that went along with it.
Our everyday communication went through the exact same kind of shift. Instant messaging connects us across the globe in a matter of seconds, which is amazing, but it leaves behind this invisible digital trail that gets easily deleted or just buried in the cloud. Handwritten letters? Sure, they took a lot of time, but we traded the physical permanence and the distinct personal handwriting of our family history for ultimate speed. One day, future generations might look at a preserved, handwritten letter and just wonder how something so incredibly ordinary once carried so much deep, tangible meaning.
Just think for a second about how physical our world used to be. I mean, communicating actually meant locating physical infrastructure, like driving around searching for a coin-operated payphone at a random gas station.
Paying for your weekly groceries meant carrying actual paper bills and heavy coins in your pocket. And now, a single glowing pane of glass in your pocket has practically swallowed the entire physical infrastructure of our daily commerce. It's a real game changer for convenience, for sure, but it definitely means physical money and analog machines are starting to feel like relics of a totally bygone era.
Next is Section 4, the disappearance of slowness, a profound shift in speed.
Slowness. I want you to really think about this one. Remember waiting an entire week for camera film to physically develop, only to finally get the envelope back and realize your thumb was completely covering the lens the whole time? Everyday activities simply used to take much, much longer. You waited for movies to finally arrive on television, or you just stood quietly in lines. And doing nothing didn't feel like you were wasting time. It was literally just the normal rhythm of reality.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the psychological trade-off of our era. Instant delivery, endless streaming, and global communication are, without a doubt, some of the greatest conveniences in human history. They trigger this constant, instant gratification. But they have completely rewired our expectations. Because everything is so incredibly fast now, just waiting for something feels completely frustrating. Silence can feel deeply uncomfortable. Our modern speed has essentially made this simple act of doing nothing feel agonizing.
They weren't necessarily living better lives, they simply lived at a different speed. It's so true. When you look at old black and white photographs of American life, you see people just standing around downtown or sitting quietly on their front porches. Objectively speaking, they weren't necessarily living better lives than we are today, they simply existed at a fundamentally different speed. And honestly, that shift in speed might just be the most profound change of all.
Finally, we arrive at Section 5, the America of tomorrow, exploring what we keep.
Look, America has always been in a continuous state of change. The automobile completely changed it. Television changed it. The internet and smartphones changed it all over again. Change is absolutely inevitable. So the question we really should be asking ourselves isn't whether change is purely good or purely bad. The much more interesting question is, which parts of the past are actually worth carrying into our future? What old traditions survived this long for a very good reason? And what might we want to actively preserve?
So the crucial point is this. While modern convenience definitely makes our daily lives delightfully frictionless, those older analog spaces acted as vital social glue. A local diner creates real community. A bustling main street brings people together. A handwritten letter preserves a tangible physical memory. A historic local theater connects multiple generations under one single roof. And a simple front porch can literally turn strangers into neighbors and neighbors into lifelong friends. These aren't just sweet nostalgic memories. They are the actual physical building blocks of a healthy community. You know, sometimes you don't realize what you've lost until it's already gone. The goal of this explainer isn't to reject progress or complain about the future. It's to remember our roots, because once a tradition disappears completely, it's incredibly hard to get it back. So, take a look around today. What is one quiet change happening in your own neighborhood right now that you might be entirely overlooking? Give it some thought. Keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.